Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. I just wanted to give you some information on how to handle charge offs when it comes to your credit. Charge offs are an account, or you might even see it say charge off, write off, is an account that an original creditor could not collect on that is over 180 days old. So, what would happen with that charge off? The original creditor, hey, how are you? Thank you for joining me. The original creditor will then write that debt off. And what happens in return, the credit bureaus will, not the credit bureaus, my bad, the IRS will then, hey, how are you, OJ? Thank you so much for joining me. The credit, not bureaus, but that IRS will give them a tax credit. So imagine if you owe that original creditor, let's say ABC Credit Card Company. You owe $2,000 on that account. They did not collect for of that whole balance, but you've been paying them tons of interest the whole time. Trust and believe these companies do not lose or out. So, what would happen with that account? They will write that off on their taxes as a write off, and the IRS will kindly say, Sherry didn't pay you that $2,000. You suffered a loss, so don't worry about paying us. From that point, a lot of you will see these negative items on your credit report. Now, dealing with a charge off, the best way to handle it is not to have it hit your credit report at all. And I know that is a cliche, or you saying, no duh. But sometimes when that debt and you become behind on that account, it may be in your best interest to call the original creditor and see if you can settle that account with a payment arrangement, or to pay it in a discounted way, or even if you can pay it in full and have them to update that account to paid as agreed. You can always, if that item is reporting on your credit report, even past 180 days, a couple of years, and it's still in a charge off, not a collection, you can call that company, make sure it's that original creditor, not a collection agency. Do not talk to a collection agency. That's a whole different subject. But you can call that original creditor that still has it in a charge off state. And if it's after 3 years, you try to negotiate that debt down to pay 25%. That is a good number of thumb to start from, and have them to update that account as paid as agreed, not paid satisfactory, not anything, not settled, a settled or paid charge off, because that's negative. You want paid as agreed. So if that is not possible, you have to move on to the next step. And the next step is to dispute that item with the credit bureaus. So, one of the things that you need to know going forward in this age of AI, you have to be more strategic. Some people call me, I want to, fix my credit just with a broad stroke. That's like saying, I want you, call a contractor to fix my house. Well, what is wrong with your house? What is the issue? Is it the plumbing? Is it the electrical? Is it carpentry? Is it the masonry? Because each different item, you would address that item in the house and how to repair that a different way. So that's the same thing with your credit report. Each item, you want to address it a unique and separate way if possible. So if you are looking at late payments, you want to look at that account and you want to address each item in its own way and get details or take intel on what happened to that charge off account. So if it's a charge off from a repossession, you may want to look at the balances on that account, the open date on that account across the board. Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. Are these dates consistent? Are is the last date of payment the same? The last date of activity, is it the same? The reason why that's important, because that last date of activity, the last time you made the payment, is when the clock start ticking for that item to fall off your credit score in the next 7 years. If you're seeing that item constantly being updated and it's changing from the last date of payment, that's extending the time that they can report that on your credit report. So if you are looking at this item and TransUnion is given a different date than Experian and Equifax, the source of the information is not reporting that item accurately. And so therefore, the credit bureaus are not being compliant with the law. So you need to attack that item as such. And you need to attack that item. And then if they come back with that information being so called verified, not that you're denying that this information is not your account, you're denying the way it's being reported is compliant with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So it's very important that you have a different mindset and try to attack each item differently, because you have to think about it. The more negative items that you have in that category, now I'm not talking about inquiries or collections, you will handle those a different way, and majority of the time you'll go straight to that reporter, not the bureaus. So if you want to get that information, follow some of my other videos, because the more that you try to go through the bureaus to remove an item, the tougher it is. So if you got 15 items that is negative, what is the chances that 15 companies is lying on you? You know, it shows that there's been some financial bad decisions on your part. Remember, these are for profit corporations. So what they get paid for by lenders is to locate people that may not have made some great decisions in the past or had some troubles in the past, so the banks can make more interest or limit their risk on profiles such as that. So they want to keep this information on these accounts on you, compliant or not compliant, because this is their source of money. And it said, how do we attack that issue? What I just said, you look at each item, how they're reporting with each bureau across the board. Is that item have any kind of inconsistency? So if you have a charge off, such as a repo, is that date that it was open inconsistent with the other bureaus? Balance of what's being owed, is that inconsistent? Is the reporting payment dates inconsistent? Is one reporting the first late payment was in May of 2016 and another one is saying in July of 2016? This is inaccurate, because if it's all being reported from one source, and that one source is whatever Santander car company is telling three different companies 3 different stories, then that's not 100% accurate. Therefore, they're not compliant with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So you want that item deleted because this is not 100% accurate. So that's how you attack these things. The day of unverified or not my item, it's just too much data out here. And for it to not connect to you nowadays, they have now email, different ways to get that information over to the reporters. And now they have where they can show that that item, either you ordered it, it came to you, you've been paying on that item out of your checking account or with a check, so it connects to you. So it's not so much saying it ain't mine. So that's how a lot of that stuff come back verified. No, it's not that it's not mine, it's the way that it's being reported. So one of the other ways in order to fight that, look at the reporting from that credit bureau. If it's TransUnion that is reporting differently, you take that and that's your proof that it's not reporting the same over here. So apparently somebody is off, and that only one source of producing that is the original creditor. The source is off, because if it's telling 3 different stories to 3 different bureaus, then that information is not correct. Whether it be a true account that was charged off, it has to report 100% accurate. So that's how you challenge a charge off. Another way is sometimes if you've been fighting that item, you can simply, if it's not moving off of a bureau, see if you can settle the item for them to remove the item if it still have not been sold to a collection company. See if you have sent rounds and rounds of letters and that's not moving. You may have to call them up and see if you can get that settled and removed. So that should always be your option, because the more things you can remove off, the better it's for you and your credit reporting. So if you're looking to get a home, you need to start working on this now. So start to look at those ways of handling your negative items. Start looking at each and every one. Another point is not getting it whatsoever. If you already having problems with your account, make sure that you try to handle that account before it becomes a complete charge-off. See if you can call that, because one less thing that you have to dispute and handle is the easiest that it can be. I have a couple of questions. Let me go down the line. And it said, hi, Sherry, sending out my 609 letter this week for paid charge off. Pray for me that it goes. Now, one question is, you want to think about the 609 letter. And I'm glad that you brought that up. What is a 609 letter? So it's a lot of people that believe certain letters is going to remove certain issues. 609 is part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And, regardless of popular belief, 609 is really talking about your right to get access to a credit report or what's on your credit file. Really your credit report, your free credit report. Where you have a right to dispute things off of your credit is actually under 611. So you want to be careful of using templates, responses, and really taking the time to see what that letter you're sending out and that is saying and how you're disputing that item. So the right for you to get inaccurate information and dispute things off is under 611. And also you need to look under 615. So find out, what is actually stating and how you are leveraging that off of your credit or which way you're disputing. So I will give you that advice. Make sure you read that. And this is what I'm saying, looking at each item. So you may want to dispute that item its own way. A good example of that is student loans. Companies like Nelnet, um, Navient, they're right now have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau are filing lawsuits on some of their practices. So if you have some missed payments, you may need to look that up. Some of the violations that they have, not counting interest correctly, or applying payments correctly, or denying people of um, loan rehabilitation and payment plans for their financial hardship. So instead of like sometimes doing a broad so-called 609 letter, you might need to look at that and attack that, stating that way, stating 611, that everything needs to be fair and accurate, and maybe even attack that, hey, the Fair Credit Reporting Act is saying that they have to prove these things out, and what method are you equating for this balance that's on this account. I've been a that's being or actions filed for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau against this company, and I've been a victim. So you want to get creative. You don't, and really make it be that it's a real issue with this company and your account. So make sure you kind of use that tactic. How do we attack this? This been an issue. Calvin, I hope I answered that questions with some of my examples that I just gave. I disputed back. I disputed because the date of last activity was years apart, and it came back verified. So just like I was saying, under 611, there's your right to request for a re-investigation and demand the method of verification. How did they verify that? So you want to continue on, and like I said, whatever response that you're getting from the bureau, you want to continue on with that. Well, what is the way that they verified that item, especially if it was open at a certain date? I fought mine, and they refused to, I guess, to remove it. Calvin, like I said, Calvin, your next item might be to call. I don't know how long you fought that, how many rounds of letters, what's your technique, but if you saying you did everything that you could do, maybe see if you can call and settle the debt and have that removed or updated with that company. Let them put it in writing as paid as agreed. So hopefully that's helpful. Tony Coleman, hi, how are you? Um, so to get all three credit bureaus information and fight that way. Yeah, of course. If not, Calvin, if you don't have all three bureaus, what way are you fighting? Like you would have to have some kind of standing, or what is your proof that is reporting inaccurate? So this is why I say you want to be more strategic, not just sending out things. I know a lot of people will say, hey, 609 letters, and they're using this as a cliche, but if you're not getting to understand what is 609, really strategy with attacking this, on being compliant, and a lot of that, the key lies in these other bureaus on how they're reporting it, because it's all coming from the same source. And if it's not reporting consistently across the board, then a lie is being told somewhere, and therefore it's not 100% accurate. Divine timing, can I ask you a question, Sherry? So if a collection account is on one of my bureaus and not the other, how do I remove it? it a debt validation letter directly to that company. You will not initially dispute that through the credit bureaus whatsoever. You would send a debt validation letter. That's your right under the law, because since that account was sold, to see if they had a right, the original creditor, did they have your permission to sell that debt? And it would be a signed contract that you signed at the beginning of that agreement, account history, just asking for certain items, uh, also statute of limitations, demanding certain items from them that they have a legal right to collect on that debt. Right now, we all have debts that's owed. It don't mean every Joe Schmo out here in this world have a legal right to collect on that debt. They have to show they, number one, bought the account. If they bought the account, where's the receipt? So where's the chain of title? Those accounts get sold over and over again. Who say they legally own it? So that, to validate the debt, that's the steps that you're telling that company, show me your right to collect on this debt. I never got any goods, a service from you, a Uber ride. I never got a shirt. So how do I never even did business with you. I never heard from you. So I heard of you. So how is it that I have a contract with you, or I'm obligated anyway to pay you anything? So Christopher said, I disputed Jeff Cap and Equifax. Experian deleted it, but TransUnion verified. What's next? Applying what I just said. If Experian deleted it, show that reporting to Equifax and dispute it on that. So apparently it's not consistent. If one is no longer reporting that and removed it and found it not to be accurate, I would use that information to attack the other credit bureaus. That means the source is incorrect. Hi, Sherry. What if an item charged off with the original creditor was sold to a law office or a collection agency? If it's reporting as a collection, just like I answered the other gentleman question, you would validate that debt. So anytime with a collection, I don't care if it's with a law office who it's with, you need to validate the debt to see if they have a legal right to collect on that debt. If one of the credit bureaus is not reporting at all, a way to challenge that, to show that that credit reporting bureau is not reporting at all you would do is send in a copy of that credit report to show this is not being reported on TransUnion, Equifax, whatever it is, that this item is not correct. It's not on time. It's not consistent across the board. So like I said earlier, you would produce the evidence. The evidence is your credit report that is not reporting that item. So that's how I would challenge that. 609's letters, 611 is the one I want to use. Yeah, should look at 611. So that's your standing on where you have a right to dispute inaccuracies off your credit report. I thought 609 was where they send verifiable proof. I will look again. Okay, at 611. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, you want to look at 611. How do I sue for a lawsuit? I had and something. I think your thing is being cut off, Calvin. If you can try to resend it. I had and with Cons Electrical, and it's okay. See if you can retype that off. I don't know, for some reason your response and some other response are getting cut off. Okay, Real Boss, the credit bureaus would never send you anything. Now the original creditor, yes, they may. It was not electronic signature, but the credit bureaus would never send anything to you. And you don't need them to. You can send something to them. And that's proof with the reporting of that item from the other credit bureaus. And if it's inconsistent, inaccurate, then you send that as your proof to them why the item should be removed. So hopefully that's helpful, because like I said, if it's coming from one source, and if I'm the person that's telling three different people, the source, three different things, somewhere I'm lying. So that's what you want to do. You want to present the other credit bureau the story that's being told to the prior credit bureau or the other credit bureau from the source. So it can't be accurate. It's not consistent. So for it to be true, and the truth is always going to be consistent. Thank you for the information. Thank you, Chris, for tuning in. I appreciate it. And OJ said, what if you sent a letter and the collection agency sent another letter with no information? What do you do next? You'll send a default letter that they have not sent you any information and give them notice of your intent to sue. If you need that type of letter, I have it in my Deluxe collection package. You can get that at my website if you need to download those letters. What's your opinion on credit repair companies using Lexington law to remove items? As soon as I stopped paying them, the items came back. What kind of items are they? If an item came back, you need to look at section, I believe it's 605. They need to notify you at least at minimum 5 business days before the reinstation of the stating of an item. So you should look at that to see what that is. Also, give me details. What kind of item was it that got removed? And then that might be a different way to attack it. Lexington law is owned credit bureaus. They might be. I don't know. I can't say your name. I don't know. But I don't want to get myself in trouble with the law group. But I would keep in mind that items do come back, like especially collections. If you dispute it, that collection company might jump off and resell that. So that's why look at my videos on collections. I have tons of it. The only way I found effective for me, myself personally, this is not constitute legal advice, I would say it again, is to sue them in small claims court and get your money and be up out of there. Because if you don't owe a collection company, they don't prove it, you got your paperwork in order, sending them debt validation certified letters, then the next step is defamation of character to the ones that are in charge of that company. So naming them individually. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Oh, Cannon Wilder, sorry for the caps. Hold on, let me find your. Don't worry about the caps. Is everything is okay? I appreciate you tuning in. James King said, "How do I remove a Verizon charge off?" Same thing I said in this earlier. Across the board is looking at inconsistencies, getting access to your other credit bureaus. Also, you guys, make sure you keep credit monitoring. There's no way if you're working on your own credit, or even if somebody else is working on your credit, you should not be monitoring your own credit to see what is coming off, what's working, and what is the notes. If you are paying a credit repair company, you need to know from them what they're sending off, who they're sending it to, and what's the response back. So that's very important. Don't just sit there and pay people and not know what work they're doing. Because at the end, if you try to take that over, you need to know what was said. Okay, so your story needs to be consistent. Can a collection account keep reporting a collection every month on payment history that's past due? So every month, no, it should not be reporting payment histories because it's a collection. So no, you can dispute that as it is a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So collections should only show a balance because it's already a collection. It shouldn't report payment history. So hopefully, how do I sue the credit credit companies. You might have to speak to an attorney on how to do that. I'm not an attorney, so I cannot really constitute legal advice, but you'll have to look at the credit bureaus if you're doing it off the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Under that law, you'll have to seek an attorney that knows on how to initiate a federal suit. So this is why doing local lawsuits is much easier sometimes to the company that's doing the source of the reporting. Much easier, but speak to an attorney always. On my credit reports, it shows a charge off slash collections. How do I get it removed? Brian, feel free to go back through this video. I talked about that in depth on how to deal with collections. I'm just trying to wrap up some answers, but I gave you some techniques if you can, so I just don't continue to repeat the same thing for you to get that information. So I talked about that in this video. I'm about to end this live. Just go back and I talk in depth on different techniques to do that. Yes, OJ, yes, I will leave my link. If you want, we set up a credit analyzation. I can surely help anyone that is interested in attacking those items that you have on your credit report. Antonio, you said, so on that challenge to the credit bureau, should I send your sworn affidavit yet? Yes, it's always good to initially start that off because you are swearing by those facts, and it's not a template letter. They cannot deny that it is not you because you went to a notary that has been given the authority of your state that has the seal. So one of the ways they try to not answer your request is saying that it's a template letter and it was sent by the credit bureaus, because under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they do not have to answer anything coming from the credit bureaus on your behalf. So Antoine, thank you so much. Brian, thank you so much. Don't worry about being late. I already have recorded everything, and you feel free to go back whatever information you need. If you need more information, feel free to look at my prior videos, my playlist, especially for inquiries. If you want to reach out to contact me, I'll leave my information. Thank you, everyone. Feel free also, if you're new to this channel, to subscribe and like the video. I appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. And so I'll look forward to making and bringing more information to you guys. Be blessed.